This is Kelly stepping into the studio, and I am on the phone today with a local author, Layne Moore. Now, maybe the name Moore sounds familiar, and that's because there's a lot of family around here. Let us know how you're connected.
Well, I have my mother living there and my sister and brother. I have a lot of family in Ark City, and I grew up there. I've spent so many years there trolling around the grounds, so I know the layout, and, I have a lot of history with Ark City.
Well, I know your mom, who I love seeing things that Jackie puts on her Facebook. Your mom is hilarious, and I think she talks a little bit about you in there. And I don't know if she decided she's going to write because of your success or if you decided to write because of her humor. But I know she was just in Graves, and she did a book signing.
She did. I was so proud of her, and I helped her put the book together and get it all situated, so that it could be published. And I was just beaming with pride the whole time. I was there with her the entire time she was at the book signing. Proud son. It was his mom's moment, and she was just so very happy about it all. And it was wonderful to see, really.
Yeah.
7 years old, and she's sharp as a tack.
Oh, she is. She is. And I'll tell you what, nothing gets past her either.
That's right. Well, I grew up with her, so I can vouch for that.
Well, I think you all have her humor, too, because Jackie, I worked with Jackie for a long time, and her humor is over the top sometimes. One of the things we're on the phone with you today is to talk about your book series that you have out. Give us a little bit of background.
Well, the series is called The Scaries, and the first one was published in 2014, and it's based in Arkansas City, where I grew up. I just went for the familiar. Ark City's always been the place I called home, and so my childhood was full of, Arkalalah, trick-or-treating C Street, going to Spooksville, all that stuff that just make growing up in a small town so cool. And what drove this was throwing the safe intimacy of small-town life with locations like Spooky Hollow, where you get characters and situations that are just genuinely scary. And I think people who know Ark City like the local references, and although this could happen in any small town in America, it's our town, and that's what makes it special.
Talking about Spooky Hollow, that's when you were a kid and you went through there. They still do today, and I know the college kids, that's one of the things they talk about.
Absolutely, and high school kids and everybody. I went out there. I think I discovered Spooky Hollow in high school. Spent a lot of time out there, and it's just this really cool place. But it is pretty scary. I mean, it's got the name for something.
That is why you have that as the setting in your book, I'm sure.
It was just kind of a natural progression to go there because if you go there, if you've ever been to Spooky Hollow at night, you know how scary it is. You can hear any tiny little noise, coming out of the trees, and you think it's a witch or a devil worshiper coming to get you or something. It's just, your imagination can run wild in a place like that, and I guess mine did. And I'd heard all the local legends about the deer woman and the ghosts and the boy under the bridge and all that. And although I might have paid homage to that, The Scaries isn't really about those stories in particular.
So I understand there's a lot of surprises in the book. So without giving anything away, what are these stories about?
Well, the biggest thing I tell people is that they have to start with the first book. That's where you meet the core characters. It introduces all their conflicts, and then the ending really messes with your head. That's what people are telling me about that first book. And so it's the big setup. It starts off with a group of friends returning to Arkalalah for their 10-year high school reunion. And through a series of flashbacks, you learn that one of them was attacked in Spooky Hollow by a witch. And that night is pivotal to the whole plot from all of the books, in that the secrets that come out along the way are pretty horrible. And it's obvious that the three main characters are in more danger than they can even handle. And the danger just keeps getting more and more frantic as the stories develop.
Well, that's probably oversimplifying the plot a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's much more to it. But I can't give too much away because I don't want to spoil it for people. It's a psychological thriller, and it has a lot of twists. So I'll get you comfortable with one thing and then turn that upside down. And I think in any story there are elements that a reader can predict, but as a writer, it's interesting to throw in those curveballs too.
Would you say that the main villains in the stories is the witch?
Well, I would say that they are people who think they are witches, which once you strip out anything supernatural, you're left with the danger of someone who believes, who blends. You know, they could be standing in line with you at a bank or something. And I think for these particular stories, it would have been a cop-out to make their magic a real thing. So it's that psychosis that was very interesting to me while writing this. You know, the story also has zombies and ghosts, but I can't really talk about why. You would just have to read the books.
I understand. We don't want to give it away. What kind of feedback are you getting on the series?
Both ends, really. Some love it, some hate it. I think you get that with anything that you put out there. For me, I am just putting it out. I'm happy with the books. It's wonderful to be able to do it, and I have a lot of support. That's helped me continue. After the first one, I really didn't think the series would continue, but it's turned into 3 books, and it's great.
Well, that's pretty awesome. And for those that are just tuning in, we're speaking with local author Layne Moore, and he's got the series, The Scaries. And I know you're celebrating the release of your 3rd book right now, Layne, and you're doing some book signings. When is your next one?
Well, we're going to be at Graves Drug in Ark City today from noon to 4, and then again tomorrow from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Graves Drug is great. The people there are wonderful. We were there last year, too. And the Scaries, Web of the Wicked, will be on hand for anyone to buy. They also have copies of the other books there. They can bring their own copy that they've purchased elsewhere if they want that to just be signed. We're going to have all the books. We're going to have some cool T-shirts. I think Arkalalah is just this busy weekend, so you're going to be downtown anyway. Stop into Graves and say hello.
Sounds awesome. Now, what if some of our listeners, maybe they're not from Ark City and they don't get to Ark City, but they're interested? Can they get this from your website?
Yeah, just go to thescaries.net. We've got the news, trailers, all kinds of media. We've got a shopping section. You can pick up all these books. We have Kindle formats and trade paperback. We're also on Facebook at The Scaries Book. So look us up.
All right. Do you have any other projects in the works?
Yes. Actually, Scaries fans can rest assured there is going to be a 4th Scaries book. I don't have a title or a date yet, but I'm outlining how all that will look. And I've also started working on a separate thriller novel. It's called Blueby's Diner, tentatively. It's also set in Arkansas City in 1986. I just can't get away. So it's going to be a really busy year.
I cannot imagine what it's like living in the mind of an author, because your mind has got to be going different directions all the time.
Yeah, different directions, but mainly forward. I mean, I can't focus on backward too much. You've written some things, and then you put that out, and people are going through it, but I've always got to be thinking, you know, what's coming next? Where am I going next with the story? What project is coming? So you've always got to be writing constantly, which, I mean, for me is a good thing. I love it. So, yeah, that forward motion is imperative for a writer.
Well, Layne, it has been an honor talking to you on the phone today, and we are looking forward. Just a reminder to everyone, Layne Moore will be at Graves Drug today from noon until 4, and then again tomorrow from 10:30 to 1:30, right before the big parade starts. And the books will be there for you to pick up, or if you've got books, you can bring those in, and he'll be happy to sign those. Thank you so much, Layne, and congratulations on the release of this book and for the release of your future books.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Have a great one.
Thank you.
Now back to the greatest hits of all time on 102.5 The River.